What's up guys, I'm Suman from phonesteinyt, and this here is the iPhone SE and it is going to be about 4 years old. And in 2020, is it worth buying the iPhone SE? So let's find out. So make sure you stick till the end of the video, because at the end you will know for whom this smartphone is meant for in 2020. So I'll just talk about the things that are good and the things that are not good about this smartphone. So let's start with the good things. Starting off with the performance. This here is a 4-year-old device, but the performance it shows is amazing. Like even Android phones which were released 2 years back won't perform really well like the iPhone SE. Now that's true, and that's all because of the amazing optimization that Apple has done. Now the iPhone SE runs on iOS 13, whereas some Samsung phones or even other Android devices have not yet received Android 10, whereas the iPhone SE is running on iOS 13, and the performance, I have to say, is smooth. Now you can keep 10 to 12 apps open and this smartphone is definitely going to handle them with ease. Now the apps are kept in memory, except for very rare times where heavy tasks are done. That time certain apps restart. Other than that, the performance on this is amazing. Now I've also made a video where I play Call of Duty on the iPhone SE. Now the link to that video will be in the cards somewhere up here, and it will also be in the description below, so make sure you check that out. But in brief, I have to say the iPhone SE was able to handle that game with ease. Yes, the only downfall is that this has a small display, but other than that, the performance on this is like as if Apple put the latest A12 or A13 chip in this. That is how smooth the performance was. Now if you're someone who thinks the iPhone SE is old and the performance is going to be bad, then rethink that, because the performance on this is as good as the current generation iPhones. The next good thing about the iPhone SE is the camera. Now I'll be honest, so include me in the group of people that I'm going to be telling. So about 70 to 80% of people who ask for very high-end cameras on their smartphones actually take photos to post on social media. Now the thing about social media is that once you upload your photo, the photo is compressed. Now even if you try to zoom in, you're not going to see details. Yes, there might be few differences, but in today's world where people prefer to put a lot of filters and things like that, the difference is actually negligible, and you have to accept that fact. Now yes, there are people who actually take mobile photography seriously. Then for them, the smartphone camera is going to be old and not up to their expectations. But for the rest, the camera, the photos on this are amazing. Even the pictures that are being shown right now are taken on the iPhone SE. Of course, they are not going to be as sharp as all current generation smartphones, but still, for posting them on social media, or even just in case you just want to view or share it with someone, the photos are really good to look at. And especially the video is amazing. And the slow-mo, if you're a slow-mo fellow, then the slow motion on the iPhone SE is amazing. And the iPhone SE can even record 4K videos. Now, the next thing that I want to say is kind of both a mixture of good and bad. So that is the display. Now I'll just talk about the good side first before I move on to the bad. The good thing is that this is a 4-inch display, so people who love really small screen smartphones will definitely enjoy this. Now if you're used to typing on bigger phones, then it might be a hassle at first, but then you'll get used to this. Now you can play videos on YouTube at 1080p, and luckily they are not capped out at 720, which is awesome. Now even though the resolution is less on this, the size of the screen makes up for that. Now if this was a huge 6-inch display with the same resolution, then of course the images would look like crap, but on this the images look really nice. Now I'm not justifying that this is an amazing display, but considering with what you're dealing with, I think it is pretty good. But on the negative side of things, the display is small. Yes, I am a person who used this phone for a year and I really like the form factor and the display size. I had no issues. But for most people today, they would prefer prefer a bigger display. And of course, this isn't a smartphone which has an infinity display or a display with a hole punch, and of course it's not high res by any means, and it is not and it doesn't have an AMOLED display or any fancy stuff. In that sense, this here is definitely not an amazing display. But I have to say, as for the display, it is subjective and a mixed bag. If you're like me, you like the display. If you're not like me, if you're someone who prefers bigger, higher quality 2K and AMOLED displays, then you might not like this. So since we have come into the negative side of things, let's talk about the battery life. So the battery life on the SE is definitely going to be bad. Now I won't say it is like crap, but if you're planning to use this very lightly or just use it for texting people or for light web surfing, then this will definitely last you for a day. But even though this has a small screen and you plan to game on this and do things like that, then this isn't going to last. Yes, the power saving mode is available on the SE, but it is not that great. So as for battery life, this is going to suffer a bit. Now apart from this, when you take a look at the iPhone SE in 2020, yes, many people will find a lot of cons or negative points to tell. And yes, it is true. Like, of course, this is not a modern looking smartphone by any means. Yes, the build quality is amazing. Now this bad boy has survived a lot of drops, and it is survived it like a champ. But the thing is that it doesn't look too modern. Like, it doesn't have the crazy infinity display or rather say a bezel-less design. It has a huge forehead and chin. The fingerprint sensor is good, so just letting you know that it still works amazing. And like I was saying, the display is small. Like in today's world, people expect bigger displays like 6.4 inch displays, and people are actually not satisfied even with those. They want bigger screens, and this will definitely not satisfy them. And even when talking about cameras, people are spoiled by current generation trends when it comes to cameras, and maybe, but the true thing is that the front camera is bad, so definitely don't use that. But in terms of the back camera, this still here is a really good one. So similar to this, there are many like goods and bads to the iPhone SE, but overall, in a nutshell, I'll tell you for whom this phone is meant for. Now if you're a person who loves small smartphones and really wants one in 2020, then I think the iPhone SE is the best yet affordable option to go for. You can get this device for around 8,000 used or refurbished for around 10,000 or 12,000 if I'm not wrong. And for that price, I think this here is an amazing smartphone. Now, if your kid who's gone to college wants an iPhone, but you don't want to spend a fortune on a new iPhone, then you can get them this. Now, since if this is their first iPhone, then this will like help them get into the ecosystem and let them understand how everything works on the Apple side of things. Now, if you're a person who wants a secondary device which can do most of the functions that your primary device can do, like taking calls or replying to text messages or surfing web, or even you can actually even play games on this, suppose like if you don't mind the small display. So things like that can be done on the iPhone SE, and for those who want that secondary device which will perform well, then the iPhone SE is for you too. And last but not least, the price is also one factor that you have to keep in mind, because you can get this for 8,000 rupees, and for that price I think this here is a solid smartphone. But for the rest, you can definitely go ahead, skip the iPhone SE and buy some latest generation smartphones with bigger displays, better battery, amazing cameras, things like that. I've personally used this smartphone for nearly 1.5 years, and I have to say this has served me well. I've never felt like thrashing the phone or anything like that. With that in mind, I can assure you this here is a good smartphone that you can probably consider, or at least have it in some 10th position in your list of the next smartphone that you want to buy. So hope you like this video, and make sure you subscribe to phonesteinyt, because many more awesome videos are about to come. So thanks for watching, and this here is Suman signing off once again. Catch you later.